How are you? I hope you are doing well. I am also doing well. Today we are going to learn about sampling, and it's a very, very important topic to learn as far as research is concerned. Therefore, you are welcome to this class to learn about sampling procedures, different types of sampling. And the reason as to why we learn about so many of them is so that you can be able to choose which one applies to the research that you are undertaking. Not all sampling techniques or sampling methods can fit in any research. So we need to know quite a number, then we can be able to know which one applies where. So we'll start by definitions. We are going to define sampling, then population, then a sample. I've got a number of images of pictures that can enhance our understanding. So sampling is a process of selecting subgroups from a population of elements such as people, objects, or events. So it's a process of selecting a smaller number, so to speak, to represent the bigger population. And we are talking about people, we are talking about objects, we are talking about events, because you can actually carry out a research on events. For example, elections in Kenya are events that normally happens. Or student orientation. Those are events that you can carry research on, or even weddings, funerals, and all that. So when you're in the process of selecting just a smaller group to represent the bigger population, that is what we call a sampling. Population, of course, it's all members of a defined category of elements, such as people, objects, or events. And for a population, we normally say that a population has to be that has been affected by that particular phenomena that you are researching on. These are people who have got the information or they have been affected by what is happening. And then, of course, as a sample is a portion of a large category of elements. And actually, in the process of sampling, you come up with a sample. A sample could be a smaller number, a subgroup of the whole population that is affected by the problem that you're researching on. In the pictorial that you can see there, we are looking at the whole population. And then after that, there is a sample that you choose from the big population or from the bigger population. Again, we see another pictorial there. We can see the whole of that is the population or the number of people. It could actually be representing a department. This could be an organization, that you're researching on. This could be a county also, but you just pick a smaller number of the people to represent the whole population while you are collecting data or while you're doing your research. Now, there are a number of reasons as to why we sample. One of them is to save on costs, because especially you're thinking about where you have to print questionnaires, where you have to interview. If you're dealing with a smaller number of people, you save on cost. Number two is greater speed in the data collection. It is easier, or rather you save on time when you're dealing with a smaller number of people than with the whole population. For example, you could be collecting data in an organization that has, let's say, 300 employees. But when you decide to sample, let's say you're dealing with 100 or even 50, then you take a shorter time. Number three is the destructive nature of certain tests. And here we are saying that the reason as to why we sample is because some of the tests, some of the researches that we do can be destructive. You can think about maybe somebody who's doing agricultural research. Maybe they are conducting a research on a certain kind of fertilizer in a greenhouse or in a field. If that fertilizer or if that chemical, whatever it is destructive in nature, then it's likely to destroy all the plants. So some tests are very destructive. It is only good that you apply them, and especially the experimental researches. It is only good that you test with a smaller number. Number four is greater accuracy of results. Definitely, when you're dealing with a smaller number of people, you'll get more accurate results. The more you go to many people, the more you get diverse reasoning, diverse kind of data, and so it's likely to mislead your research. But when you deal with a smaller population, they are able to nail it. They are able to go direct to what is a problem or what you're researching on. Then I'll combine number 5 and 6, physical impossibility, on checking of all the items in the population or the availability of population elements. Definitely here we are saying that even if you have prepared the population where you're going to collect data from, it's sometimes or many times it is impossible for you to get the whole population. Assuming you're conducting data in St. Paul's University and you're coming to collect data on a specific date, and if you have even gone through the management and informed them that this and this is happening. But because we are human beings and there are so many things that we are not able to control, you realize that that particular day somebody's unwell, so they didn't come to work. Another person had an emergency, they didn't come to work. Another person had been scheduled maybe to travel out of the country or out of the county. And so it is impossible to find all the population elements. Therefore, they need to sample. Now, there are two major ways of selecting samples. Two major ways of selecting samples. One of them is probability sampling method, and the second one is non-probability sampling method. And you realize as we continue that these two are actually opposites. Probability sampling method is the opposite of non-probability sampling method. So there are two major ways. And again, just like I said at the beginning of this class is we learn about the two types so that you can be able to know for my research, which one can I apply? Because not all researchers can apply any kind of a sampling technique. So you need to know which one applies where. So we'll start with one, probability sampling method. So here we are saying that samples that are selected, or the samples are selected in such a way that each item or person has a known likelihood of being included in the sample. Already, when you gather your population together, every person in that population, they know that they might be picked or they might be included in the sample. So there is a known likelihood of being included in a sample. And under probability sampling, then we have 4 methods or 4 types. The first one is simple random sampling. The second one is systematic random sampling. And the third one is stratified random sampling. And the fourth one is cluster sampling. We're going to look at the 4 of them. But please remember that all these, the 4 of them are under probability sampling, where we have a known likelihood of being included in the sample. So we look at the first one, simple random sampling. What does it mean? A sample is selected so that each item or person in the population has the same chance of being included in the research. So here we are saying that each person or each item or each event, whatever you are researching on, has the same chance of being included in the research. And I want to demonstrate so that we get to know what does random sampling mean. So assume you are doing a research and you have, let's say, 100 people. 100 people, that is your population. That is everybody who is affected by the problem that you are researching on. So out of 100 people, assign each one of them a number. So each one of them has number, from number 1 to number 100. You want to select samples that you want to use for your research. But this is simple random sampling. So after selecting, and each person has a number, you can actually write it on a piece of paper and fold them and put them in a basket or in a bag like you can see here. So when you put them in a basket or in a jar or in a bag, then you can close your eyes and just pick number, any number randomly. So you realize maybe you've picked number 5, and then you realize now number 5 is the first person to be included in my study. So you put number 5 aside. You go back and throw your hand into the basket, you come up with number 7. So number 7 again will be used in the study, or will form the part of the sample. Again, you throw your hand into the basket again, then you come up with number 10. So you are simply randomly selecting samples for your study. Without any plan, you just throw your hand and come up with a number. Throw again, you come up with number 50. Throw again, you come up with number 78. You throw again, you come up with number 13. Until the time you feel now you have the right kind of a sample that can be a representative of the population. So that is just simple random sampling. And we are calling it random because there's no systematic way of doing it. You just randomly pick, and then after that, you now open the papers and you call out the names. If you're number 15, you will be in my study. If you're number 80, you'll be in my study. If you're number 62, you'll be in my study. If you're number 4, like that, depending with the number of papers that you have picked. That is simple random sampling. Now let's look at systematic. Systematic is a bit different, but according to the way the name suggests, there's a bit of, you are doing it with some kind of arrangement. This is not simple random, but this is systematic. So what we are saying here is items or individuals or even events, we have also talked about events, are arranged in some manner. They are arranged in some manner. And then a random starting point is selected, and then every kth member of the population is selected for the sample. What do we mean here? Let's say we have our 100 people who are affected by the problem that we are researching on, and so we are looking for a sample. We have chosen to use systematic random sampling. So what we do is that we arrange them in some manner. They can line up or they can pick numbers, whichever way you want. Then you pick a random starting point. You can start from behind, or you can start from the front or from the middle. And then you say every 5th member of that population, or every 10th member of that population, or every 20th member of that population will form part of my sample. Now, the number that we are talking about is for you to decide, depending with how many people are in that population or how many people form the population. For example, here we are working with every 5th person. So you count, you can start from behind or you can start from here. So you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the 5th person forms part of the sample. So that person steps aside. Then you continue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That 5th person forms part of the sample. You continue like this to the end. So you can work with every 5th person. You can work with every 10th person. You can work with every 12th person. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this person, the 12th person, will form part of the sample. Then you start from there, you start counting again until you go to the last person in the population. So we are saying that is systematic random sampling. Systematic because we have arranged them in a particular manner, and random because it is for you to pick any random number, every 10th, every 5th, every 16th person, depending with what you want. So that is what we call systematic random sampling. And I hope now you can be able to see a difference between simple random sampling and systematic random sampling. We continue with the third one, under probability sampling. Now, stratified random sampling. We are saying here that the population is divided into subgroups. The subgroups are called a strata. And if it is one, it is called a stratum. So for stratified random sampling, divide the population into subgroups. Then after that, from each stratum, you are able to pick the number of people or the number of items from each stratum. They could be proportional. For example, from every subgroup, you pick 5 or you pick 4. Or they could be non-proportional, so that in this group, the first stratum, you pick 5. The second one, you pick 3. The fourth one, you pick 2, like that. But the bottom line is, first of all, you are forming subgroups. Then from the subgroups, you are able now to pick. For example, we can see here, we have got the first subgroup, which is now a stratum. And we also have another one here, another stratum. So and this one have been formed from the bigger population here. This is a bigger population. So from the population, you form a stratum. And a stratum, you have said, it's a subgroup. So you form as many as you can. You can have, let's say, 10 strata. Then from every strata, you pick the number of people that you want. And we have said they can be proportional or not proportional. For example, from the first one here, we can decide to pick 2. So we pick 2 and they come here. This one will form part of our sample. Then we go to the other one and pick 2. Like that until all the subgroups until you have picked from every subgroups. Or if it's non-proportional, you can decide from this stratum, you'll pick 5. Then you go to the next one, you pick 2. You go to the third stratum, you pick 7, depending with how many people are in every subgroup. So we are calling it stratified because first of all, you form a stratum. And a strata is a subgroup of the bigger population. Then from there, you get into that stratum and randomly pick, without any criteria. You randomly pick people or that will form part of the sample, or even events and objects and all that. Then the last one is cluster sampling. It is the fourth one under probability sampling. Now here, this one is done a little bit differently from the others. We are saying here, the population is divided into internally heterogeneous subgroups, and some are randomly selected for further study. When we talk about internally heterogeneous subgroups, you have the whole population here of, let's say, 100 or 200 people. Out of this population, you are trying to look at what could be different in this group. How can I be able to classify them so that each group is different from the other? And we are saying that it is used when it is not possible to obtain a sampling frame because the population is either very large or scattered over a large geographical area. So when you have these members of the population and you want to form clusters, you try to look at what is different among them. For example, let's say you are collecting data in a county or in a village and you're using cluster sampling. And so you have to have internally heterogeneous subgroups. You can divide the population into young people. We can call them youths. Then you have children. The first cluster is for children. The second one is for youths. Then the third one is for middle-aged citizens. And then the fourth one is for the aged or rather senior citizens, number 4. And you can also have another group of those people who are abled differently, depending with what you are looking at. So you are looking for something to be able to differentiate the first cluster to the second cluster, to the third cluster, to the fourth cluster. Or if it's an organization, for example, you're collecting data. Let's say it is St. Paul's University, and we have got 300 employees. And we want to use cluster sampling. We can look for something to just differentiate them. For example, we can say, let's have all the people from the accounting department on this side, everybody from the teaching department on this side, everybody from the marketing department on this side, everybody from the HR department on this corner, so that you have different clusters of people. Then from there, you can now start choosing. From HR department, I will pick 4. From the marketing department, I'll pick 5 people. From the finance department, I'll pick this number of people, because there's something that is different. There's something that is separating them. There's something unique about every subgroup in that population. So that's why we are saying internally heterogeneous groups. So that is how we normally work with cluster sampling. So this is what we are referring to. We have different groups. So we can say group 1 is for young people, group 2 is for the children, group 3 is for the youths, group 4 is for the elderly. So from every group, you pick a sample, 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 until you form a sample. Or they could be in different departments, for example. Or you could be collecting data, maybe let's say in Kenya. So you have clusters from different counties. People from Mombasa County are here, Nairobi County are here, and Nakuru County are here, Kiambu County are here. And then from there, you can be able to pick and form a sample. And the good thing about it is that now you have a representation from every county, or you have a representation from every group. And therefore, you can be able to get the information that you want, depending with the research that you are doing. Then we come to non-probability sampling method. Non-probability sampling method. This one is used especially where a researcher is not interested in selecting a sample that is representative of the population. So here, depending with the information that you want, or depending with what you are looking at, you are not really interested by or with selecting a representative of the population. Actually, what you are looking for here is somebody who has the data that you want, somebody who has the information that you want. So under non-probability sampling, we have four types of non-probability sampling method. The first one is convenience sampling method. The second one is quarter sampling method. The third is purposive sampling method or judgmental. And the fourth one is snowball sampling method. Now we are going to go through each one of them for us to be able to understand what is non-probability sampling method. Just a summary. Convenience, it's also called accidental. You normally use the person who is available. And we'll be explaining that. For snowball, you get one person who has the information, then they refer you to other people who have got the same information. Purposive is normally selected based on preconceived purpose. What exactly do you want? That is why we are using purposive. And then quarter is where you have a criteria of the kind of a person that you are looking for. And so you have quarters that I'll be explaining about, and until you get the right person with with the information that you want. So let's look at the first one, convenience or accidental sampling. Now, it involves selecting cases or units of observation as they become available to you as a researcher. So here, let's say you are collecting data in St. Paul's University. You are targeting staff members because that is the research that you are doing. So here, you get to the gate, and at the gate, you find somebody who works in the library going for lunch. So you stop them and explain to them what kind of research that you are doing, and they are willing to give you the information, so you spend time with them. You had not planned, you had not contacted them, it's accidental. As soon as you get information from them, either through a questionnaire or an interview, you move close to where maybe the chapel is. Then you find some two gentlemen going for lunch. You stop them and explain to them the kind of research that you are doing. Selecting cases or units of observation as they become available to a researcher. You get to St. Paul's University gate because you're collecting data in St. Paul's University among the staff members. The first person that you find at the gate, you had not planned, you had not called them, you had not contacted them. You stop them at the gate and you tell them, this is the kind of a research that I'm doing. Please give me information on this issue. They agree and you collect data from them. You move towards the chapel, you find two gentlemen or two ladies. You stop them and explain to them They give you the information. You move around to the field and you find somebody who is just enjoying the sunshine, a staff member. Again, you request for information from them and they give you. So it's accidental. You have not planned. It's whoever who is there. And that is why it's called convenience. It is as simple as that. Now, you don't care on issues to do with who could be at the heart of that matter. You don't care about the person who is representing a particular department. What you know is that everybody in St. Paul's University, a staff member, is affected by the issue that I'm researching on. And so they have the information. So after that, now you collect data. That's why it's called accidental. It's anybody you find. Number 2 is purposive sampling. It allows the researcher to use cases that have the required information with respect to the objectives of their study. So here, you are looking for somebody who has the information that you want. Even if the problem that you're researching on is affecting 100 people, and you only find that 5 people have all the information that you want, then these are the people that you work with. For example, let's say you're collecting data again in St. Paul's University among the students. Maybe there's an issue to do, let's say, with issues to do with boarding or welfare, and that is what you're researching on among St. Paul's University students. Then when you get to the compound, you get to learn, or you get to understand that the Dean of Students handles all the welfare matters of the students. So now you leave all the students in the compound, but you go to the Dean of Students' office. He gives you all the information that you require about welfare. After that, you move to the housekeeper. You get all the information that you want about the welfare of the student. After that, you move to the warden, hostel wardens. Maybe there are 2 or 3. Then you get all the information that you want. So you are dealing with the people who have the information that you want. And yet there are so many students in that compound who can give you information on their individual experiences concerning welfare. But here you say, no, I don't want to deal with the students as much as they have the information. I want to deal with the people who have got the information that I want. So you have dealt with the Dean of Students, you have dealt with the housekeeper, you have dealt, let's say, with the wardens and things like that. You don't care about any other person there. Or let's say you are collecting data in a particular village. Let's say you're researching on something to do with water shortage. And you know that immediately you get to that village, you'll find young women or old women going to fetch water. So they have the information that you need. But you decide, wait a moment. I'm going to be very purposive. I'm going to go to the chief's office. And I get all the information that I require as far as research is concerned. Excuse me. So that is what we call purposive sampling. Excuse me. So, like you can see from the picture here, all these people are affected by the problem that you're researching on. But you decide that you are going to get into this population, but you only pick a few people who have got the information that you want. So then we go to quota sampling. Quota sampling is an interesting one because here you select subjects according to the quotas that you have identified. So let's say you are dealing with students in St. Paul's University. And students in St. Paul's University are, let's say, 7,000. They understand the problem that you're researching on. They are aware about it. And so this is what you do. You have a number of quotas. Quotas are like restrictions or qualifications. And you say, out of these 7,000 students who have got the information that I want or who are affected by the problem, I'm only going to look at this quota. 1, I'm only going to deal with male students. So that's the first one, male students. So all the female students in that population are out. Number 2, I'm going to deal with only undergraduate students. So they are male and then they are undergraduate. So for those who are male and they are postgraduate students, they are already out. Number 3, you say, I'm only dealing with the male. I'm only dealing with those who are undergraduate students. And number 3, those who are taking human resource. So everybody else out. Then you say, I'm also going to look at the religion. So they must be male, they must be undergraduate, they must be doing human resource management, and they must be Protestants. That is the 4th one. So you continue and continue and continue until you feel you have the right kind of people. So you can eliminate them through gender, you can eliminate them through class level, you can eliminate them through the course that they are doing, you can eliminate them through religion, through social economic class, depending with what you are looking for or depending with what your research entails. Quota sampling. Then the last one is called snowball sampling technique. This one is an interesting one because you normally use this kind of sampling techniques, especially where you do not have the names or you do not have the people who are in that population. You are not able to identify them. For example, if you are to conduct a research on all bank managers in Kenya, you will surely get that list somewhere in the website. If you are to conduct a research, let's say to do with vice chancellors of the universities in Kenya, you will get that information straight away. If you are to get the number of counties in Kenya, you will get that information straight away in the website. But what if you are doing a research on street families? Where can you get that information? To show that this family is a street family, they are called so and so and so, the second one, the third one. Or think about street children. Do you have a list of all the street children anywhere? No. Think about some sects in our country. And because they are illegal, you'll not find their names or the groups somewhere. But if it is Maendeleo ya Wanawake in Kisumu, you will find even the contact person and all the people who are there. But there are some special populations where you cannot be able to get the people who are already in them or who are doing that kind of, or who are already affected by the problem that you're researching on, drug traffickers and all that. It is hard to find them. And yet, it is important for us to do a research maybe concerning street families, concerning street children, concerning the sects in our country. There's so much that have been written about them, Mongeke sect and all the others. Things to do with Al-Shabaab. All these are researches that are done. But because you cannot be able to get up the population in a particular place, some of them are hiding. What do? So you have to work through referrals. So what you do, for example, let's say you're collecting or you're doing a research to do with street families in Nairobi. You just need to identify one family. They could be somewhere in a tunnel somewhere. They could be hiding somewhere. If you identify that family, you go and tell them this is what you are doing. Of course, you have to make them comfortable so that they don't run away. And after you talk to them, you request them, please refer me to another family somewhere where I can go and find them and be able to collect data. So you have to do referral networks. So we are saying the population here possess the characteristics, understanding that are not very well known. And so you have to work through referral networks. Somebody refers you to another person refers you to another person, including even the people maybe who are not in rehabilitation, but people who are addicted to some drugs. And there are so many, especially in our countries. And because we don't have a list of them, maybe they have not even gone to hospital. One can be able to refer you to another, and another one, and another one, until you get the whole population. So thank you so much. That is about snowball sampling. So we are saying you'll work with the first person here that you've been able to identify. This can be a street child. It can be somebody who is an addict for a certain drug. Then they will refer you to 3 more people. Then 3 more people will refer you to others like that until you're able to get to the population that you want or to the sample that you want. So thank you so much for listening to me. I hope you have enjoyed the learning. We will meet in the next video. In case there's a question or a clarification, kindly reach out to me. My email address is on the portal. My cell phone number is also on the portal. Thank you so much and blessings.